Welcome back to Style of Play Football with myself, Theo. As always, thank you very much for coming back to the channel. If you're new here, as always, I'm going to keep saying this every single day, every single time I do one of these videos. Please make sure you subscribe to the video, you share your thoughts in the comments, and you like this video as well. Make sure you do all of those things before you leave this video. Now, we are going to be doing some more transfer news, but I do want to talk about the League Cup, the Carabao Cup semi-final, first leg last night. Newcastle fans, I know that you think I don't like your fans or I don't like your team. I actually do love your team. And I thought Newcastle played really, really well yesterday. They really did put on what I would say is probably one of their best performances this season. Arsenal were silent, completely silent. Now, Mikel Arteta, if you go over to our Twitter page, I think he's blamed the ball, the difference in the ball. Nah, I mean, I've heard some excuses. I remember Jurgen Klopp used to come out with some crazy excuses about why Liverpool didn't win games. But to blame the football, to blame the ball is different that they playing in the Carabao Cup than what they do in the Premier League. And that's the reason why they lost the game is crazy. But Mikel Arteta still thinks that Arsenal can turn things around for the second leg. He's very, very confident. The report here from The Athletic says that Mikel Arteta laminated Arsenal's inefficiencies in front of goal compared to Newcastle and Alexander Isak, who was amazing last night. We're going to get onto him. But backed his players to turn around the 2-0 Carabao Cup deficit so long as they adapt to the tricky ball being used in the competition. It's crazy. It says here as well that Arteta goes on to say after his press conference, if you look at what both teams produced and the dominance, it's not the result that reflects the story of the game. But reality is they were super efficient with the chances they had and we weren't. At this level, in these kind of scenarios, you need to impose yourself and win again. It's just half time. When I see the team play and how we deal with a lot of situations and play against a very good team, I must say I have full belief that we can go out and we can do it. To blame the ball, I mean, here we go. Like this is where he's talking about the ball. He also goes on to say here, nothing, just try and show them, give them kicks or tips of what they can do better. We also kicked a lot of balls over the bar and it's tricky that these balls fly a lot. So there's details that we can do better. But at the end, that's gone. There's no way back. It's about the next game and that's our world. And the reality is our world. He sounds like he's under pressure. I mean, look at this here. We're very different to a Premier League ball, and you have to adapt to that because it flies differently. When you touch the grip, it's very different as well as you adapt to that. Now, I'm going to be honest. If you're a Premier League professional footballer, you're playing in whatever league you're playing in, and if your gaffer is coming out and saying, because bearing in mind, they're not playing with the flyaway. They're not playing with the 90s flyaway that you kick it and it ends up in another city. You're playing professional football. You're a professional footballer. To use the ball as an excuse why you lost a game is what I would expect from some sort of Sunday league team, unprofessional team. This is Arsenal Football Club. These lot are they've been on the world stage. They've played at the World Cups. They've played at European competitions on an international stage. They've played in the Champions League. They've played on artificial grass. They've played on rough grasses before. To blame the ball for why you lost, bearing in mind, tactically, Arsenal got it completely wrong. I thought Thomas Partey just was ineffective in that midfield. As a defensive midfielder, I know that's his natural position, but he just didn't look like he didn't really do anything. He got dragged off. I thought Willock was brilliant in the midfield for Newcastle. I thought Lewis Hall had a really good game. Livramento, another player, had a good game. Of course, Alexander Isak, Anthony Gordon. Newcastle have found their rhythm. And like I said, I know we've had banter on this channel with Newcastle fans before, but Newcastle fans should be proud of how their team performed. The fans that travelled down as well. I mean, it's no easy slog on a Tuesday, cold Tuesday night with train disruptions and all the rest of it to travel all the way down to the Emirates. So, you know, Newcastle made sure those fans went back to St. James's Park with a 2-0 lead going into that second leg. And I thought they performed really well. And I thought Eddie Howe's got them playing some really good football. And that's what they deserve. You know, they have been putting in some really good performances. Now, the only question I will have on Alexander Isak, do Newcastle, even if they get top four, even if Newcastle are able to sustain top four and get Champions League football again, do they have enough to defend off any suitors for, you know, the calls are going to start coming in for Newcastle for Alexander Isak. Do they have enough to stop him going to maybe Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, another European club abroad? You know, do they have enough about them to keep him? Because if 150 million, 120 million comes up and is offered to Newcastle, especially with Newcastle in terms of, you know, trying to balance their books and all the rest of it, do they have enough to keep Alexander Isak? Can they turn down 150 million for what is probably their star player at the moment, their informed player? I personally don't think they can. I think, you know, there are going to be a lot of people, a lot of clubs trying to sign him in the summer. You know, his numbers don't lie. He's doing really well for Newcastle. So I think there will be a lot of people wanting, a lot of clubs will be interested in trying to sign him in the summer. But I don't think Newcastle will have enough, in my opinion, to keep him at the club for next season. I think he'll want to go. I think he'll want to step up as well. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Now let's move on to some other news now. A lot of news broke yesterday about Manchester United. We're going to start with one player in particular, Marcus Rashford, who apparently his agent, his representatives are in Italy at the moment. Now they're in Italy because Marcus Rashford is trying to move away from Manchester United. He's been exiled from the team for the last, I think, 4 games at Manchester United. Ruben Amorim has clearly made it obvious that Marcus Rashford is the player that will be the one that will go, because, you know, as a new manager comes in, you tend to find that he likes to stamp his authority, and one player is always the one that is made to be the scapegoat who has to leave the club. And Marcus Rashford finds himself in that situation. Now, it says here from James Horncastle in The Athletic that Marcus Rashford's representatives has held exploratory talks with AC Milan about loaning the Manchester United forward in January's transfer window. Talks remain in the preliminary stages as Milan's senior executive teams were returning from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where the team fought back from 2-0 down to beat rivals into 3-2 in the Super Cup. Milan are not short of players in Rashford's preferred position. Rafael Leao, the team star, operates from the left and turns around the Super Cup final with a devastating second half cameo, which marked his return from injury. Backup striker Tammy Abraham scored the stoppage time winner from a Leao assist. Rashford's salary is worth more than £325,000 a week, would also have to be heavily subsidised for a loan deal to appeal to Milan. Now, they do have, obviously, again, like Christian Pulisic is there as well. I'll be honest, I don't think that's a bad move for Marcus Rashford. I think Marcus Rashford, if he can get that move done, and Marcus Rashford can rediscover himself, which is probably good. It takes him out the limelight a little bit. He's not going to be the centre of attention when United play, and, you know, he's not going to be the talk of the topic on Sky Sports or whatever other programme who are trying to find an excuse why he's not playing. If he goes to AC Milan and he does really well, he's still got time in his career to come back to England or to, you know, prove himself in another league away from Serie A. He might make that move permanent if the deal goes well for him at AC Milan, if they can get it done. I think that is a really good move. You know, we've gone over there. We've seen Ruben Loftus-Cheek go over recently. Fikayo Tomori's gone over there. You know, there's been other players. Tammy Abraham's there now as well. So there's been players that have played in the Premier League, English players as well, that have gone over to Italy, and it's worked for them. You know, it's worked for them really well. I think again about Ethan Ampadu as well. He's had a couple of loans in Italy. It's not a bad option for Marcus Rashford. I think if he goes there and he's able to rediscover his form that we've seen a couple of seasons ago at United, it might suit him. It might suit him going over there. Now, Newcastle, Manchester United are also, by the sound of things, they're willing to sell pretty much anything that is got the Manchester United crest on anything, whether that's the furniture, the players, the training ground, anything. Pens, rulers. Now, it says here in The Athletic as well, this was reported very, very late yesterday, just before the game kicked off in the League Cup, that Manchester United are willing to sell Kobbie Mainoo and Orlando Garnacho. Now, first of all, I thought this was a joke of a story. But then when you see David Ornstein start getting involved and you start hearing a little bit more, and Chelsea's name was linked to Kobbie Mainoo, you start to think to yourself, is there any legs to this story? And I think there actually might be. Now, I'm going to explain why I think there is, because obviously when you see the likes of, I mean, it's probably not the best pictures to show for Garnacho, but when you see players like these two here, you know, Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo, both academy products. Now, I'm talking from a Chelsea perspective. We sold a lot of our youth players. We've sold a lot of our graduates that came through, Conor Gallagher, Mason Mount, just to name a few. You received a pure profit. So if you sell those players for, I don't know, 30, 40, maybe 50 million, all that money is pure profit. Now, we can do a whole different story, a whole different video on how transfers work and maybe get someone on to discuss that with us. So, but if you can sell the likes of Marcus Rashford in the summer, pure profit. If you can sell Kobbie Mainoo, Garnacho, pure profit. So that helps with the books. It helps with the financial debt that they've got. They've got £200 million to remove off their books, off their debts by the summer. So they do need to do something very quickly. Now, a big thing to talk about with Kobbie Mainoo as well, over his future, it says here, there's a bit of uncertainty given his contract expires in summer of 2027. It includes an option to extend by 12 months, and there have so far been no developments over a new contract for the England international. Obviously, Garnacho did sign his new deal last year, which took it to 2028, but we're in 2025, so you don't want to run it down to that last year. You don't want to do what Liverpool's situation where they're running down their contracts. You want to be able to make sure that the players either move on, you get a good fee for them, or they sign a new deal, and then you can maybe put a release clause in that contract as well. But it does look like Manchester United are willing to let Kobbie Mainoo go to Chelsea. It says here, Chelsea hold Mainoo in high regard. He's on the list of possible transfer targets, but there is no more than that right now. As you would expect, Chelsea have compiled a lengthy dossier of players they are looking at as potential signings for the future as they look to tweak the squad for this year and in 2026. The teenager is not yet seen as a priority for this month and no bids have been made. But naturally, when it's a young England international of this caliber, it is a situation. Will they keep monitoring? With Romeo Lavia expected to return in the squad this weekend following a hamstring injury, Chelsea will have more options again to help Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. They have also earmarked Andre Santos to be part of the squad for the 25-26 campaign, although he has a high profile suitors in Europe with his season-long loan at Strasbourg coming to an end. It's interesting because I don't think it's just these two as well. This is going back to what I was just saying before. Why would Man United want to sell two of their, I don't know if you want to call them their prized assets or their young up and coming talents? But it is basically down to the PSR, FFP. They have to basically stay within the financial regulations. This is where I think they will literally probably listen to offers for a lot of their players. Casemiro, a high earner, Anthony. There's been talk about Joshua Zirkzee already leaving the club. Rasmus Højlund potentially could leave the club. No one is safe. No one is safe at Manchester United. And I think, we spoke about it on here before. United fans cannot be shocked when they hear that, most of their team is up for sale. I think they maybe bar Mazraoui, who's recently come into the team, but again, he might still be. I think De Ligt might be okay, but everyone else is fair game. You're all in the shop window. Every single one of you is in that shop window. I think a lot of people might be shocked about the Kobbie Mainoo, but as I've explained, pure profit will give you that. So we'll have to see. But it does look like Manchester United are trying to follow the blueprint of Chelsea and sell their players pure profit. Get some money into the bank, try and resolve some of these issues around the debt. But the other news as well, very quickly, is apparently Elon Musk wants to buy Liverpool. Seeing as we're talking finances, let's talk Elon Musk very quickly. Elon Musk, apparently his father's come out and said, he was asked a question on a news interview recently, I think yesterday or the day before, would Elon Musk like to buy a club or a football club? And apparently he came out and said that he would like to buy Liverpool. Now, we know that Liverpool, the fans really kind of want FSG to either cough up some money and start spending on the team, or make sure that the club gets sold to someone who is willing to spend that money. And I think Elon Musk, it's dangerous. You give a football club to Elon Musk. We've seen what he's done to Twitter and how much he's messed up Twitter in the last 12 to 18 months. If you give that man, if we can call him that, if you give him a football club, all hell breaks loose. I don't think it can be called Liverpool Football Club anymore. He might call it Tesla Football Club or something. He could do anything. He could try and change everything about the club. Stop them wearing red. They could start wearing blue or black or turquoise. Listen, Elon Musk is one of these people that reminds me of someone who has got ADHD and bipolar rolled into one. You do not want a guy with that kind of irrational thinking overseeing your club. It could just be hearsay. It could just be, silly noise. I think I read an article to say that he's an estranged father to Elon Musk. Or I don't know how good their relationship is, but there could be some truth into it, because we know that Elon Musk has been very vocal around UK politics recently and heavily involved in, the UK world and the economy and how we're living over here. Maybe this is his gateway into not just the football club, but the politics side of things as well. So we'll have to see. But staying in Merseyside, Everton fans yesterday afternoon, were gearing up for some exciting news. They thought that their manager, Sean Dyche, was going to get sacked yesterday. I'm going to be honest, I'm still shocked that he's still there. I know the press conference yesterday was delayed, I think, for a couple of hours. It was meant to be mid-afternoon. It didn't go ahead till later in the evening, about 4:30. But it looks like the writing's on the wall for Sean Dyche. A lot of the fans have given up now. They're just hovering literally above the relegation zone in the Premier League. I don't see how they can sustain going on. Obviously, they've now got new ownership. So, the Friedkin Group have come in. They've obviously got the naming rights sorted for the stadium. The stadium is now up and ready. Bramley-Moore Docks is ready to go for next season. But they have to consider whether they want this man at the helm. Is Sean Dyche going to be the guy? It says here, for instance, in the article on The Athletic, that TFG, which is the group that have taken over Everton from Farhad Mashouri, backed Dyche on arrival and has respect for the work he has done in the recent seasons to keep Everton in the Premier League, but added that he would be judged on results. The ideal scenario for them as new owners still refining the finer details of their sporting strategy would have been for a period of stability on the pitch, with the club still having to be careful with profitability and sustainability rules. Dismissing Dyche before his contract expires in the summer and appointing a replacement would eat into the winter transfer budget. So there is that to consider as well. I mean, obviously, that was one of the things that I think I discussed with a couple of Everton fans not too long ago. If they sack Dyche, they have to pay him up. I don't know how long his contract is for, but if they sack him, they got to pay him up. You got to then try and get another manager in. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about Graham Potter. Where does he end up? Is it West Ham or is it at Goodison Park? Personally, I think Graham Potter is a very good manager. I think a lot of people, a lot of fans think of his time at Chelsea, and we have to remember some of his moments at Chelsea were actually good moments. He done really well in the Champions League, a good run in the Champions League. Bearing in mind that was his first attempt in that competition. Good wins against Dortmund, if I remember correctly. So he done well in the Champions League to an extent. The results weren't there in the end, and I think a lot of that came under the pressure, the scrutiny, the fans losing faith in him very quickly. So let's go back even further to his days at Brighton. He done really well with a team like Brighton. I think he would need time. He would need the resources. He would need, a lot of players to come in. He likes to play three at the back with the two wing backs as well. So, there has to be changes, I think, defensively for Everton. If they bring in someone like Graham Potter, they would need to get a clinical goal scorer. I mean, Calvert-Lewin isn't that for me. Beto isn't that for me. So you'd have to bring in some reinforcements in the summer. So I do get it, but you then run the risk, Everton fans, of potentially going down, missing out on Premier League football for the first time, going into the new stadium and the Championship. A lot of these players I don't think have got relegation release clauses in their contract either. So there's a lot of issues if Everton do get relegated. And Sean Dyche looks like he's trying his hardest not to do that, but there is an opportunity and a case to say that they could go down. So I think maybe they have to bite the bullet and sack him. I think they have to sack him. I don't think this is sustainable. I don't think Everton can afford to be in the Championship just for financial reasons. As I said, you're going into that new stadium. You want to be playing the best teams. You don't want to be playing, with no disrespect to them, the Reddings and the Coventry Cities and the Middlesbroughs. You want to be playing the top teams in that new stadium. So they have to sack him, I think. They have to sack him, bring in Graham Potter and this is probably the best time to do it. You know, West Ham are knocking on the door. You know, Graham Potter's held meetings with West Ham. If Everton have got any sense, they would be straight away trying to get that deal done for Potter, sack Sean Dyche, take the hit financially this season in terms of the PSR, not being able to sign that many players. I think you just need to, like you said in the article, get a bit of stability, sustain that, and then push on in the summer. I think realistically, the choices are, do you want to get relegated with Sean Dyche and play championship football in a new stadium and potentially be in a championship for a number of years is really difficult to get out of there? Or do you want to sack the gaffer now and go and get Graham Potter, who is going to potentially be able to keep you up this season, and then reassess and reevaluate the squad and be playing Premier League football next season? So that's, I think, one of the things that Everton fans, the owners now, need to go and look at and make the right call, because it is tough in the championship. I don't think people realise that. But Sean Dyche, I'm surprised he's still there. Everton fans, let me know what you think. Should Sean Dyche be sacked? Does he need to go? Are you content with Graham Potter coming potentially into the club? Or I did read a really random story that someone wants Jose Mourinho to go there, which, listen, Jose Mourinho is probably at that level now, and that's no disrespect, but I think he would love another return to the Premier League, and he's a really good manager. He's a serial winner. I'm not saying he'd win trophies at Everton straight away, but I think he would be able to get something out of that squad if he's given the resources and he's given the time to change things at Everton. That's not a bad shout, but I think it should be Graham Potter. More realistically, it should be Graham Potter that takes over, but they have to act fast, Everton. If they don't, I'm pretty sure he ends up at West Ham in the next couple of days or so, with Lopetegui potentially being sacked as well. And don't forget, we've got FA Cup this weekend, so there could be a lot of shocks. There could be a lot of cup upsets, banana skins in there. So if one of these clubs like Everton, West Ham, maybe if they lose their game, then that's probably the final nail in the coffin for them. But they do need to act fast, both of them, to try and sustain some sort of stability this season for both of them, both clubs as well. But let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. As I said, we are going to be a lot more regular on here as well. We are going to be doing some watch-alongs as well, so make sure you hit that notification bell. You don't miss them. And until next time, thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back soon.